Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the IERLab Podcast. This episode, we dive into the rise of child rearing vlogs in South Korea and how toddlers are becoming unexpected influencers. Through a revealing case study, we explore how everyday play turns into product promotion, how commodifiable authenticity blurs the line between childhood and work, and what this means in a country facing the world's lowest fertility rate. And for that, we have Hanwool Choe joining us for more to explain. Welcome to the podcast, Hanwool.
Hi, Walter. It's a
It's
pleasure to be here today. Thanks for having me.
it's lovely to have you here. And for those people who don't know, I'm actually recording in Seoul, but our lovely guest today is actually in Hong Kong. Is that right?
Yeah, Hong Kong.
Yes, but you are Korean, that's correct.
Yes.
Yes. So this is quite an interesting subject for a person like me living in Korea. So let's get started. We have a lot to talk about in such a short period of time. I wish we could spend most of the day talking, but unfortunately we can't. But let's start with this question. So, if young adults are experiencing family life by watching child rearing vlogs, which are a very big sort of genre of entertainment these days, especially on YouTube, how might this virtual parenting change the way we think about marriage? Especially, you mentioned in your study, or it's definitely known that we have the lowest fertility rate, but we're also declining in marriages as well. We're not in, this is in South Korea, as well as having kids and the children in the videos.
hmm Yeah, thanks for the questions. And to answer the question, I'd like to introduce what Deborah Tennant, who is a distinguished social linguist, says. So Deborah Tennant says the medium is the meta message, and it means that what people intend to say and do is actually shaped by the medium itself. So the social media or everyday blogs, in my research context, creates its own meta message about how people experience and perceive everyday family life. So traditionally, family life experience, including childhood, has been seen as something authentic that you experience like a firsthand. But within the child rearing blogs that I examine in my paper, everyday family life is filmed, packaged, and shared online with anonymous like people. So in that context, family becomes something you can consume or experience vicariously. So almost like an entertainment, like a content.
Hmm.
So this is a point where I find child rearing blogs reminiscent of the movie Truman Show. So in that movie, people watch someone's life
Hmm.
or Truman's life like unfold in real time, not as a private experience, but rather as a public performance, in the form of reality TV shows. So just as Truman's everyday existence and everyday experience are commercialized and sold as entertainment, a toddler's life in everyday blogs, which are analyzed in my paper, can also be transformed into a commodity for other peoples to consume. So when you actually think about South Korea, as I mentioned in the paper, like where many young adults are choosing not to marry or have children, this kind of virtual parenting through the blogging really reshapes like how the concept of family is perceived and understood. So watching blogs can make family life more like a media content or media construct than a live reality or like a live experience. So, and I, with given this like a phenomena, I often compare this to the popularity of mukbang. Mukbang is a live stream of like eating, and people do not watch mukbang just for the food, but they also watch mukbang just to feel a sense of like a togetherness, like and connections that physical shared mealtime would provide, even though when they're actually eating alone, in their own reality. So in the same way, child rearing blogs also offer a virtual sense of experiencing like family life experience and making viewers feel like they are the child influencer, like online auntie or uncles.
Right, right, right. And for people who don't know as well, like this phenomenon also really started from TV, where there was a lot of uh, child rearing, like variety shows.
Mm-hmm.
If we think back to not even 10 years ago or 11 years ago, it became very, very popular just on TV itself. There was the uh, what's her name? Sarang. Her name was.
사랑이. Yeah, from the Return of the Superman.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And now this is becoming more and more prevalent on social media, and we're seeing the effects. And many people, like you've mentioned, also changing the way that they're child rearing. And as a person who is married and also has children, it is worrying to me. I want to talk about the first case study a little bit that you have in your paper. If
Mm-hmm.
viewers feel comfortable or comforted or healed, like you sort of mentioned in with mukbang videos as well, by sponsored family vlogs, what does it mean when our emotional connection comes from moments that are partly created for advertising? In many, many cases, there are a lot of fake scenarios that happen because
Yeah.
they need to please the audience in some way, or maybe even the a company that they're working for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really great questions. I think this is where ambiguity comes in, especially in the context of like a sponsored family blogs, which blur the line between real life and the commercialized like a performance. So the blogs that I examine in my papers, they're obviously like a sponsored, but its commercializations is lived through the child's playful and like a spontaneous and everyday moments, like using like a sponsored facial mask just to do the pretend play with his mother. So as I show in example one from my paper. So in that sense, it is really about the embodiment of family life experience, which is represented through the child's very authentic engagement at that moment. And I think it is really similar to a TV commercial that just shows a happy, cheerful family like enjoying breakfast together, only to reveal that it is an advertisement for like a cereal.
Hmm.
So even though we know it is advertising, the emotional connections that we feel to those everyday family blogs or the emotional connections that we are reminded of through the watching the everyday family blogs can still feel authentic, I think.
Hmm.
And then that ambiguity is what allows people to experience comfort or healing regardless of the commercial undertone that everyday blogs have.
Yeah.
And and this could also potentially lead people to purchasing those sponsored items just to relate to this sense of connections, even in reality, beyond watching the everyday sponsored blogs. And to better understand like this whole phenomena of like kid fluencing or child fluencing, I think it will be actually helpful to think about to consider the relationship between celebrities and their fans, because those relationships are undeniably commercialized, like to some extent, but the fans' emotional connections and closeness are still remain valid and meaningful and authentic.
Hmm.
So in the same way, I think sponsored child rearing blogs can still create genuine a sense of family intimacy and like a family connections, even when those some moments are partly shaped by like advertising.
I do agree with you there as well,
Mm.
because I guess we could relate, even though these vlogs are supposed to be
Mm.
reality, a lot of people do look into dramas as ways
Mm-hmm.
of healing and look at families in within dramas of ways of healing as well. So it's not all considered negative. There is some positivity that can
Mm-hmm.
come out of that. If we go back to celebrities just for a second,
Mm-hmm.
There is this thing, especially amongst the K-pop community, I think. Not just that, but like I see it a lot within the K-pop community when a toddler's normal play date with a celebrity is used to promote the celebrity. So, like I've seen example, the girl group ITZY,
Mm-hmm.
they've done a lot of these child sort of play dates. How does that
Mm-hmm.
change what we consider real and who actually benefits from this setup? Do you think it is a good thing for celebrities, or do you think it promotes the families?
I think that's a really interesting question. And I think it really depends on what we mean by real here in this like a context. Because from the toddler's point of view, he's having fun, like on a play date, like with the celebrity uncle that he just met. But when we actually look at the bigger picture out of it, um, the whole setup is really promotional.
Hmm.
So that's why in my paper I call this phenomena like a toddler at play or at work, because everyday life in such sponsored blogs often sits at the blurry space between like personal experience and commercial performance. So in that case, I think the adults are the one who benefit. The celebrity gains visibility, and then the kids' parents gain attention and sponsorship opportunities, and also the viewers gain like a sense of like intimacy and then like entertainment, and even the YouTube platform gains like a profit as well.
Yeah.
But the child is the one whose life is commodified for these like different groups of like adult people, and that is very concerning when there are not strong like legal safeguards like in place. So I think what counts as real here is really complicated.
Hmm.
So the play date is authentic for the child, but it is also framed and circulated as a potential promotional like a content or like a form of like a media entertainment. So that duality being not only authentic but also like a commercial is what makes these particular types of blogs are so fascinating and like a fascinating and powerful, but also so troubling.
Right, right.
Because
I agree
yeah,
with you.
so it's really at the intersections of what is being real or what is authentic, and also and what is commercialized and what is like commodified.
There's, you've probably heard of this. For people who don't know, there is this Korean YouTube channel called ODG.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
have you heard of ODG before?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard of it. Yeah.
Yes. So what they do is they usually get children to meet celebrities or whatever, but it's in sort of like an interview environment. And what happens eventually is that these children, because they're regular, let's say, the regular cast on this
Mhm.
platform, they actually become more of the celebrity than the celebrity itself in some point. And
Mhm.
that can actually be sort of dangerous in a way. So
Yes.
it
Yeah.
has some pros and cons.
Yeah, I agree. Like there's always like a larger discourse about child as like a commodity. Like we use like a child's genuine, authentic reactions are sometimes often used as a like a resource, commercial resource to create like entertainment that most of the time adults like enjoy, not
Hmm.
the children itself. Yeah.
And now to wrap up today's conversation, though, like I said, I could be here all day with you talking.
Mm.
I want to talk about like if a child's huge online audience influences what parts of family life get filmed and shared, how can we tell what's truly real family life and what's being turned into sort of a product? Sort of a bit similar to what we asked before, but we kind of want to know the differences between, what we consider the real side of a family versus what is
Mm.
considered the the TV or the social media side
Hmm.
of the family. These days, children as young as 2 or 3, they know when there's a camera on them and they know how to function the camera and they
Yeah.
know that if the camera is on, there is a way that they should be acting or there's a way that in Korea it's very common to do the V sign. So when you point a camera, a
Mm-hmm.
kid automatically will know what
Yeah.
to do. So what do you think?
Mm-hmm. So I think when parents know that thousands of people are watching it, those everyday family moments are no longer just spontaneous and real interactions. Like they are curated, they can be curated, packaged, and sometimes even staged to meet audience like expectations or like a sponsorship like a demands. So then as you asked me, like how do we tell that what is real, like in this particular like a context, then I think it is ambiguous.
Hmm.
So like in my paper, I argue that like a family life gets reframed as like a content or like a form of like a media entertainment, and that this ambiguity is exactly where the boundary between child play and influencer work gets troubled.
Hmm.
So and then this really reminds me of a sociologist Urban Goffman says, and then what he said is that what is ambiguous is open the meaning of an event. So sponsor family blogs show like how real life can be transformed into something consumable with the children themselves placed at the center of these like a commodification. So I think we really need to pay attention to like this ambiguity emerging from this particular type of like everyday vlog, and like we have to focus on like how such ambiguity is constructed and like presented through the particular types of like a language used that people are engaged with it. Mhm.
Exactly, exactly. I 100% agree with you there.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, we do have to wrap up today. But before we go, is there anything that you would like to promote? Example, your future studies, what you're working on next, or any current works that, there is possibility, and I hope that we do have
Uh-huh.
you back on the podcast.
Oh, thanks for this opportunity. I actually have something to promote regarding my research. So my book, Family Talk Online, is expected to come out next year. So in that book, I looked at like how contemporary families, including family-in-law members, stay connected through everyday photos and videos and instant messages in their own group chat rooms. So I think this topic is many people can relate to like this particular topic about family group chat. It's because not too long ago, the dinner table was the main place for like a family interactions when people came home from work or school and they sat together and then they shared with each other their day like over food. But then the things have changed and now the instant messaging applications, so like for example, KakaoTalk in South Korea have now become a virtual like a dining table for family communication. So in this book, I show how family members who are physically apart still continue their everyday family life by sharing in real time, like instant messages and everyday photos, videos, and even emojis. So if you are curious about how family talk actually works online, I hope you will check out my book, Family Talk Online, when it's out next year.
That sounds extremely interesting, and I think that you have really touched upon a great subject there that, yes, families these days, well, compared to when I was younger, everything, like you said, was around the dinner table. Everything was talked about there. But now
Yep.
you don't have to technically be together to sort of have
Yeah.
a dinner table discussion. And most
Mm-hmm.
of the time, listen, I don't really like group chats myself personally, but I am a part of so many of them. And
Uh-huh.
uh, but the interesting thing is you can mute those group chats
Yes.
sometimes, which I tend to do. But anyway, thank you everyone for listening today on the IERLab podcast. Once again, I'd like to thank our guest today, our wonderful guest, Hanwool Choe.
Thank you,
Eh,
Walter, for having me today.
no worries. And until next time, this has been Walter Lee, and you can click on your next adventure now.